5 of us were sitting in a Russian-made Lada. It's a production car that when it comes off the assembly line already smells permanently of dirt and cigarettes. We were in various stages of sadness, and even our stoic driver, an off-duty cop, and our translator, his wife, were misty. My daughter was sitting in the middle of the back seat, and she had just said goodbye to the 80 kids she grew up with. She's 14. Those same kids 2 years later would exit the place they grew up to enter society with an 8th grade education. She felt incredible guilt for leaving them behind, and they in turn wished her well. While I was frantically searching for a tissue to relieve our grief, I stumbled in my pocket on a note that a lone girl tucked in my winter coat pocket during this whole episode. Translator, please. She looked at it and wouldn't translate. Too emotional. Read the darn note. She did. Alacia, I'm happy you found a family. When you get home, please have your parents find me one too. Signed, Katya. That from a 14-year-old girl. Every person here has a unique, hardwired talent. Call it a superpower. Do you know what yours is? Spider-Man's got one. And there's not 10 Spider-Man. There's one. Just like you. Ever seen Spider-Man swim? No. That's for Aquaman. Right? That's the way it works. Raise your hand if you've taken more than one or more, online talent assessment or instincts tests or personality tests. Aren't those things awesome? 30 questions, fun, you get a great answer, it's eerily accurate, and you go, wow, how did they know me so well? Right? Yeah. So call out the name you got from the test, because you get an answer. It says your talent is this, or your strength is this. How many EMTJs? Researchers? Influencers? Change agents? Healers? Woos? There's great names. And we love the name we got. Well, call out the name you got and see if it's on this list. Yeah, Rainmaker. It's another one. A woman at a conference was handing out cards, and I saw it, and it said her name, and right below it, the word healer. Now, my head went here. And when I get that feeling, I want sexual healing. You heal the same way I do. Yeah? Well, yeah, natural healer, that's for me too. But here's the test. When we take them, we love the test because they're built on an algorithm. They slot us in a box that fits us really well, and you say, gosh, somebody finally gets me. And you get put in the perfect box. Here's the trick. The test has 32 boxes, or 64 boxes, or 128 boxes. But now divide the world population by 7.8 billion. Divide that by 64 boxes. You're not rare. Certainly not unique. And remember, a superpower is one. We need the one superpower that you have. So let's step forward today 3 times, 3 different steps, and connect closer to your hardwired superpower. You cool with that? All right, here's the first thing we're gonna do. Take that name you got from the test, because you guys recognize the test. Here's what I'd like you to do. Hold up in your seat, you've got a mirror. Use your hand, it works great. And you're looking into your mirror. You see? Do you see a change agent or a rainmaker or an EMTJ? My guess is you're seeing a pretty darn good looking rainmaker, change agent, or EMTJ. Am I right? Let me ask you this. What happens to your language when you flip and focus here? You see the change? This is what I call myself. This is what I do for others. Oh, that's different, huh? So the healer, I got to know her. And you know what she really does? She connects people to, she connects people to their soul purpose. Healer, not so helpful. Connecting people to their soul purpose, super powerful. A person very close to me got the label of woo, winning others over. Great, very sexy. What they really do is they create relationships that feel like family. So that's the first thing we can do, is translate the name we got into the action that we do. Now, if you're confused on this, somebody dragged you here today. Ask them, they will help you get that language. Good? All right, so let's go the second piece that's easy for us to do. Once you have what you call the phrase or the action phrase that you use, ask yourself this question. What do you do? What do you do first? So take the creating relationships that feel like family. When we pushed him, here's what he told us. He was silent for a bit because nobody would ever ask. When it's hardwired, it's inside of us. So he considered for a bit. He said, the first he makes people feel very safe. Oh, that's interesting. And then intuitively, he knows or figures out what they really need. And then he delivers wisdom and care. Now, is that more useful than I'm a woo? Not so helpful. But that whole piece, just asking yourself, when I do that talent that I have, what's the step-by-step? Everyone can do that. All right, the last piece is probably the most powerful. How many people walked in here knowing their why or their life purpose? Like you got it down. How many people say, well, always wanted that, but I'm not so sure. And then there's a bunch of people in the middle. So we're on a spectrum. Either way, let's move that forward. We're going to use a simple formula to do that. And that is, we're going to connect your strong belief with your highest core value. Seems easy enough. I'll short circuit the core value piece. Let's start with a few. How many people would say honesty is absolutely one of my highest core values? Just raise your hands. Yep. Integrity? Loyalty? Fairness? Yeah, everybody's hand pretty much went up on one of those. Let's take honesty. When we talk about honesty, what we probably should do is just double check that we're talking about the same thing. So I think the easiest thing to do, we all took a picture ID to get in here. Bring it out and verify for the people on either side of you that the weight listed is the honest truth. Would you do that? Because of course we all, if your weight changes from the holiday weight gain, you're going to call the DMV and update your weight, aren't you? Because we're honest. Same for fairness or integrity or loyalty. We're expected to exercise enough honesty to function in society. So We don't get any credit for that. Those are table stakes. Here's how we know. Here's how you can double check it. Without honesty, I can't hold a job, I can't have friends, and I cannot enter into partnerships. True? You won't be in a partnership with someone you know is dishonest. You probably won't be their friend. And you certainly won't give them a job. So we're expected to have that. You get no credit, which means we're going to have to go deeper. Here's how we'll do this. The simplest way to find your authentic highest value is to figure out what offends you or makes you angry. You may know that right off the bat. I'll give you an example. Chris is a team lead in a high-tech company. Got an all-hands meeting this morning, and she's leaving the house late. Oh, geez, not today. I'll make up time on the freeway. Gets to the entrance ramp, absolute fustercluck. 4 lanes are merging into 2 are going to the metering lights. Every 15 seconds, one car alternates to get on the freeway, and the freeway is a parking lot. Gosh darn it, she's going to be late. And that's a bad look for a leader to show up late to an all-hands meeting. Well, she finally gets to the front of the metering line, and some knucklehead drives on the right-hand shoulder, tries to jam in front of her, and when she won't let him, he lays on the horn, gives her the finger, and goes right through the red metering light onto the freeway. Chris is incensed, absolutely incensed. She looks at the guy next to him at the other metering light, and he's kind of shaking it off like, morons will be morons. What are you going to do? But Chris is offended. Why? Because she holds a value dear that was violated. See if you can reference the value that you hold so dear that gets violated when you get angry. In Chris's case, order, decorum, courtesy, consideration, maybe even decency. What the guy did was indecent. That got trampled on. That's the value we want. So with our creating relationships that feel like Family Guy, remember him? We pushed him on this. And the value he came up with was service. That's a great value, not expected. It's not commonplace. Remember, strong belief, highest value. Here's what he came up with. I believe the world is a better place when people serve others. Does that work as a fundamental purpose statement for your life or a why statement? It's a simple frame. Belief and your highest value. That note, really a crumpled piece of paper, handed off by a 14-year-old girl with no guidance. She didn't ask anybody's permission. In fact, had she told the orphanage director that she was going to do it, they wouldn't have let her out onto the schoolyard that day. She would have been punished. She could have very easily handed it to her friend and said, when you get home, give this to your parents. She didn't. She had an instinct, a hardwired instinct that connected to her talent, and that talent had her take action. Well, that bold move resulted directly in 11 more children finding permanent homes. Now take us. Each of us holds the same talent or a same talent to transform lives. Are you ready to impact the world by discovering, embracing, and acting on your hardwired superpower? Thank you.